I will tell you that by background, I am a registered nurse. I went to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill to nursing school and felt like I was relatively well trained, pretty decent nursing school. But coming out as a new graduate nurse, you really are not very focused on death and dying or that process. And so I will have to tell you that I really knew very little about hospice or hospice services, or how to connect patients and their families to those services for the early part of my career, really. And started to become aware that there was such a thing as hospice and those sorts of things, but really didn't understand it very well. In 1993, my father was diagnosed with gastroesophageal cancer, and which doesn't carry a tremendously positive prognosis in sometimes, but we were very positive, and we felt that, if anybody could beat it, he could, because he was a strong man. He was only 74 years old, and I am a daddy's girl, so I'll just have to tell you that right up. So we began that journey with him through his illness, and he did quite well. And we thought maybe he had beat it. And then in 1997, it came back. So we started the process of realizing that it was not going to be the outcome we had hoped for. So I will tell you that was one of the hardest things of my life, because I'm a registered nurse. I was working full time. I had a big job. And I felt personally responsible for seeing that my father had everything he needed, including pain management, including appropriate nutrition, and all of the things that go along with that. It became completely overwhelming. And finally, one day, someone came to me and said, "Have you given any thought to hospice?" Well, I had the same negative attitude that many people in our community have. And that is, if you say the word hospice, that means death. We're not ready for that yet. We can't cope with that, and I'm going to avoid that. Okay? And I'm going to be in denial, and I'm going to totally avoid, and I'm not going to listen to that. And then they sat down with me and explained to me what benefits we could receive from hospice. So finally, I got the courage to have the conversation with my family, and we all agreed to call hospice. That was one of the best days of my life, because that day I was able to become the daughter and be there for my father in a way that he needed me, and not have to be his nurse. And it made the biggest difference in the world. And at that point, I realized what a gem of a service we have with hospice and palliative care. And to me, having experienced that so personally, I feel very passionate about making sure everyone has our message of the benefit that we have with hospice. To me, it is a travesty when we deny that benefit to our community. And I have encouraged our team that when we're talking about hospice and palliative care, we talk about it as an entitlement. It is a benefit that people are entitled to, and to deny that benefit to people is a travesty. For me, with my father, the day hospice came in, first of all, they were 1,000,000 times better at pain management than I could have ever been. Okay, they had stuff I didn't even know existed, because that wasn't the world I worked in. Fentanyl patches and all kinds of cool things. And it immediately made my father so much more comfortable and peaceful and able to cope. They had a lot of counseling that they did. As they also cared for my father, they cared for our family. And they described for my mother, who was the primary caretaker there with him, what to expect and how to deal with it and how to cope with it and when to call and all of those things. It gave her such peace and comfort, and took away that horrible fear of the unknown that she had been experiencing but didn't vocalize. There were so many things that we benefited from during that period But the most precious of all was that they allowed me to be the daughter, and they allowed me to relax and enjoy the last months that I had with my father.
Rowan Hospice and Palliative Care, in partnership with Hospice and Palliative Care Center, care for patients and their families in 13 counties. For more information, please call 704-637-7645 or visit us at www.rowanhospice.org.